everybody. Real briefly, I want to just give you some of today's headlines that are in the news, just so that we can stay in the know. If you're anything like me, you just kind of want to stay on top of things, knowing what's going on, what has the potential to go on. We don't have to focus on it all day, every day. We don't have to stay like tuned into the news, this 24-hour news cycle. We don't have to stay glued to our phones and our computers. Sometimes we need to just get a little bit of the headlines just so we can get a general feel of what's going on around the globe. So this will be a short one, as most of these little news breaks will be. They'll be short stories and headlines just so that you can see what has occurred within today, basically, is what's going on. All right, so the first one is last hostages freed, bodies returned in the Middle East deal. So Hamas has released the remaining living hostages. 28 bodies will be returned. Okay, that's the first one. I'm going to say that one again because I think I left something out. Last hostages freed, bodies returned in major Middle East deal. Hamas releases the remaining living hostages. 28 bodies will be returned. So that is good news. Absolutely good news. And that is according to the Financial Times. The next one, G20 watchdog warns of global market crash risk. This is a risk of a global market crash. And that is according to Reuters. Markets rally after Trump eases tariff threats on China. If you recall last week, I believe he got upset with China and was said he would impose 100% tariffs on China. We're some those of us who buy goods from foreign countries, China particularly. If you've been noticing it, things are costing a lot more since this tariff war has been going on. So to see him back off of this newest threat to place 100% tariffs on China is a good thing, and that is according to the Times of India. All U.S. Social Security offices were closed today for Columbus Day, according to the Sun. Nobel Prize in Economics awarded for innovation theory. And the winners, and I hope I can say these names without butchering them, Mokier, Ajian, and Howitt. And this is from the Times. They were awarded the Nobel Prizes in Economics for innovation theory. Next headline, U.S. government shutdown enters day 13. Fights over funding persist. CBS News. White House mulls invoking the Insurrection Act amid unrest. The Guardian, plus one other. Trump invites Zelensky, that's Ukrainian President Zelensky, to Washington for strategic talks, according to the New York Post. And Nepal's Gen Z leads anti government protests and topples leadership. So it looks like Gen Z around the globe is starting to get a little bit more involved in the day to day operations of our nations. And that is not a bad thing. Okay. So just to expand a little bit on those headlines, I'm going to give you a little bit of what they are about. So every day, the world writes a new chapter. And today's headlines reminds us that peace and chaos can often share the same page. In the Middle East, hostages are finally being freed, a moment of relief shadowed by sorrow as 28 bodies are also being returned home. Even in freedom, there's grief. Even in grief, there's a lesson about the price of conflict and the fragility of life. Here in the United States, the government shutdown has entered its 13th day. Federal workers wait, veterans worry, and families stretch their dollars while lawmakers point fingers. Yet, ordinary Americans continue to show extraordinary resilience. Neighbors helping neighbors, churches opening pantries, and people praying for solutions. Thank God for all of that. And at the same time, markets are doing their own dance. Wall Street breathed a sigh of relief today after former President Trump, well, after President Trump, eased tariff threats in China. The G20, however, issued a stern warning that a potential financial crash could be looming if world leaders don't act responsibly. It is a reminder that prosperity, like peace, requires stewardship. So I just want to read that one again because some of these that are jumping out at me are ones that uh, we really need to. pay a little bit of attention to, because anything that has the potential to affect us personally, our families, our communities, our nation, even the globe, should kind of keep somewhat of a watchful eye. Again, you don't have to be tuned in 24/7 to just kind of keep up with the headlines. At the same time, markets are doing their own dance. Wall Street breathed a sigh of relief today. That's great. After President Trump, I don't know why they put former in there because he's not former, but after Trump eased tariff threats on China, the G20, however, issued a stern warning that a potential financial crash could be looming if world leaders don't act responsibly. It's a reminder that prosperity, like peace, does require stewardship. And beyond our borders, young people in Nepal, they are all members of Generation Z, have done something historic. Their protests have reshaped the nation's leadership. Courage doesn't always come from power. Sometimes it rises from passion and purpose. And it is good to see the Generation Z age citizens start to stand up and use their voices and their activism to try to affect change. And in science and scholarship, a brighter headline: the Nobel Prize in Economics was awarded to three brilliant minds, Moukir, Aghian, and Howard, for their work on innovation theory, proof that even in turbulent times, ideas can still change the world. And lastly, I would just want to say that as the headlines continue to scroll and the talking heads debate, to remember this one thing: that behind every story are people breathing, hoping, and enduring. And maybe that is the truest headline of them all: that the human spirit still stands. This has been a segment of Storytime with Denise. Hope everybody have enjoy the rest of your day and have a the greatest evening. All right, we'll talk to you again soon.